Here's the little ducklings. There's some goofy little guys. They've had a long trip. They've drank some water, and now it's nap time, it looks like. Some of the way that some of these guys sleeps is odd to me. Like this guy right here sleeping. And I mean, they'll sleep like that with their face in the ground and then get up and start running around like they're totally fine. But it's been a long time since I had ducklings, so at first it was kind of worrying me. Not so much anymore. Like this guy right here, he's sleeping with his head in typical duck form, all kind of curled back on his breast there, and just kind of splayed out like I look in the mornings when I'm trying to drag myself out of bed. I don't know what kind of goose that is, but that's our guard goose. It's pretty vicious looking, right? It might be an African goose. I got the factory surplus or whatever. Yeah, and this is my brooder. I made this thing out of a bunch of scrap materials. That's why there's like two boards right there that don't really line up. There's like a half can of spray paint that covered most of it, but I wound up with this two-tone because it didn't get to the bottom. Got hinged door, obviously. I cut off the bottom of a 55-gallon barrel, and that's the basin for this water catcher thing underneath the actual water. And then I made that grate out of, I used a plasma cutter and cut a circle out of some expanded metal and welded it onto a ring that I bent out of some straight round rod. So, you know, it's just a real cheap alternative to doing what I've seen some other people do, where they'll, you know, take a paint tray or something and put one of these little, I don't know if you can see that, put one of those little water or food things on top of it, which I just wanted to be able to leave them with a lot of water. I don't ever want them to be running out of water, not even for a minute. So I made this bigger basin for a bigger waterer because I've got a bigger coop than I need for them, at this size at least, and they should do 8 weeks in this perfectly fine. And I'll be able to take it out and use it as a chicken tractor for, you know, 5 chickens or something, and they'll get out on pasture too, but they'll be able to, 5 chickens will stay in there pretty good and I can move them around. So I got a door right here with a little latch on it. There's the guard goose. He's like, hey, what are you doing? They didn't know there was a door. This is the first time I've opened it. It's got to be a shock. I'll shut it. Hard to do upside down, left-handed holding the camera. Hang on. There we go. I got my power just running in that little gap. I realize that in the future I'll probably seal that gap just to keep, you know, weasels or anything out, because this hardware cloth is small enough openings, but that's just big enough. I feel like a weasel might be able to weasel its way in. I've got, you know, I don't know, maybe a third of it all the way around right here. No, probably less than a quarter actually of that hardware cloth, so they can get a little breeze going in there. I've got too much light on purpose. I've got the middle one off right now. I got a thermometer hanging right there, and they're all pretty gung-ho about the food and water right now, but I think that the 2 lights will be fine until night. Maybe I'll turn another one on, but I wanted there to be lots of variant heat and breeze and everything like that. I had thought about sectioning off just like half of this brooder and leaving them in there, but they don't seem to be like getting lost in the corners or anything like that. And I mean, just like them to have options. They all seem to be pretty happy. They're very sleepy right now though. This window is open, obviously, and there's a big draw fan downstairs. I'm on the upper level of the the workshop, the forge and stuff is downstairs, and we got a big draw fan for the forge. So with every other window sealed up, I get a real solid breeze coming through that one. So between that and the heating right here, I feel like at night, even when it drops down into the 50s or something, if I got both of these on and that system going, they'll have airflow through here. It'll probably be real hot over there, and they'll always be able to find a happy medium somewhere in this middle area, run to and from their water. That's my guess, at least. I mean, this is, from what I understand, this is pretty much what you're looking for. They're not all scattered out like around the perimeter of the lights to suggest that it's too hot. They're not all clumped up under one light, so it doesn't suggest that they're too cold. I don't know what this thermometer is reading right now, but I've read plenty of places at 95 degrees is what you want at the beginning. Oh shoot, sorry little guys, could have caught one of them with that. All right, let's see. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to read that. But right now it says, shoot, I can't even read that because of the red and the red light. It's at 90 degrees. It's at 90 degrees to the side of the light. So right underneath the light, those guys have 95 degrees. Possibly more. But, you know, that's gonna be typical of chicks. I don't know, ducks might like it a little bit cooler or be a little hardier or whatever. I know geese are fine with a lot harsher environment right from the get-go. That's the goose. Anyway, this whole brooder, reason it's shiny is because, and I mean this is scrap wood, so there's like some linoleum on it or something, but the whole thing's been coated with marine grade epoxy, like top to bottom, all the joints. I went over where I've got the hinges on there. There's actually epoxy like in the edge there. There's no seams where water could get through. The whole thing being epoxied with marine grade epoxy is ideal because now I can move it outside. It's really lightweight because I made it out of 1x and 1/4 inch plywood on the sides. Would have used 1/4 inch for the lid too, but you know, I just used what I had on hand extra laying around from a boat that we built. And this thing didn't really cost, I mean, I'm sure the initial cost was higher than, you know, I don't know, I mean, you can look at it and assume what the materials would be, but I made the whole thing from cut-offs pretty much, and pallet wood here and there, and scavenged wood and scavenged hardware cloth, and we paid for the metal that I used to make the trough to catch the water. I made that little bar right there too that's hanging the lights on. We do metal work and stuff, so it's kind of nice to be able to just do that kind of thing, you know. I could have made the hardware, the little latches and all that jazz, but I didn't, clearly. Anyways, these little guys are tired. I'm gonna get their little thing closed up here so that the few that are spunky will hopefully settle down and let these other ones sleep, because they keep tearing across the brooder and stepping all over the ones that are asleep, and I can't imagine that that's a great way to be woken up. But Cackle Hatchery sent 2 extra birds, and 2 of them died in transit, which is, you know, for a number like this, kind of to be expected. I mean, that's a little higher than what you would hope for, but I mean, that's why they account for it and send a couple extra birds too, you know. It's sad, but these are the strong ones, and they're gonna make a great starter flock. They're sexed birds. Did not get them straight run. It's just not the way that I was gonna do it, because for the number that I've got and the market that I can sell in, people are looking for the eggs, and they'll buy duck too, but to get, you know, 50% of these, which would wind up being 15 birds, to get them butchered and everything, and to take them to the butcher, I mean, the cost just wouldn't work out right unless I was going to eat them myself. And you know, duck is not something that I eat super frequently, just because it's sort of a decadent food that's, I don't know. I like it to be an occasional thing. I can see myself getting burnt out on it. Not like chicken or something. Yeah, if you never had duck, then give it a shot. It's easy to cook. It's not difficult to do. Kind of hard to think about whenever you're looking at these little babies like this, though, isn't it? But that's the thing. That's where food comes from. I could sit here and rant for another 10 minutes about that, but this is a 10-minute video. I doubt anybody's going to watch it anyways. Like I've said in the past, you know, this is something that I do for documentation reasons. I just want to know that this stuff's on the internet and I can look at it one day if I want to. But, you know, this brooder setup turned out pretty good. And if anybody out there does metalwork and everything and has the opportunity to make a grate like that, I can already say that I would recommend it, because I have had ducks in a brooder before. They do make a huge mess, obviously. And, you know, the bottom of a 55-gallon barrel leaves you about 6 inches. 6 inches from the outside of the circumference of one of these 2-gallon waters to the edge of the 55-gallon barrel. And while those ducks are brooder size, they're not going to splash water much further than that, hopefully. I mean, I'm sure they will, but it's going to catch a good bit of it. It also means that since I'll be changing that out more often than the bedding, I can come up sometimes if I'm feeling lazy and just dump that water into the basin. It's about 3 inches deep. I got it buried a little bit below the bedding. I can take that, pour it out the back door over there. You know, I mean, it'll be nice and easy. Anyways, there you have it. The brooder, the ducklings, their first day, they appear to be enjoying it. All right, good deal.